The Metis Tech Show.
Welcome to the Metis Tech Show, a show for HVAC professionals by HVAC professionals.
I like how you guys bounce back and forth between heat pump talk and food talk.
The Metis Tech Show.
Mitsubishi.
Why do you always call Chipotle?
Do you drink out of a boat lay of water?
Why do you always call tortillas?
Because that's how it's spelled. Plus, haven't you ever watched Napoleon Dynamite? You want a quesadilla?
Yeah, quesadilla.
Quesadilla? Have some quesadillas.
Make yourself a damn quesadilla.
Yeah. So we had Moe's for lunch.
Yeah.
I had a beef burrito, delicious, a little salty. So I was just wondering, there's a bunch of different places like that you can go in and get that.
Yeah,
You
I
can
don't
go to
think
Moe's,
I've ever
you can go-
heard somebody complain about the saltiness of a burrito. It'll be a first.
I'm not complaining. I like salt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I salt Chinese food.
Yeah.
So, okay. But we have Moe's, and we got Chipotle.
Yes.
And I'm sure there are a few others. What's the other one? Qdoba?
Yeah, Qdoba.
Qdoba? So I'm wondering if you had a favorite.
My favorite is Moe's. I used to go to Chipotle a lot because it was all that was really, around our area. But then they opened up a Moe's and I tried it, and everyone still was like, "No, Chipotle is way better. Chipotle is way better." But I don't agree. I think Moe's is by far
I just
better.
realized something. I've never had Chipotle.
Really?
I've never had Chipotle before.
Wow.
I've heard so much about it. You hear the Sebastian Maniscalco making burritos.
Jeez. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah,
But there's it's an experience, I guess. I guess we're getting one next to my house, within a mile of my house, which is amazing. At an old Newport Creamery, they converted to a Chipotle, so I'm gonna have to try it.
I've got all three within a decent drive of my house. I'm going to say inside of 5 miles. I like Moe's a little better than Chipotle for one reason and one reason only.
What's that?
They give you the chips and salsa without any extra charge. Where you go to Chipotle and you get yourself a bowl or a burrito or whatever, you want chips and salsa, you're going to pay extra.
You know what else I like about Moe's is they have salsa options. You're not stuck with just the one salsa.
Yes.
Moe's, you can get a mild, a medium, a hot, and they have a verde.
Yes.
So I like that part. But I'm curious if you guys have ever heard of Cava.
Yes.
K-A-V-A.
No, C-A-V-A.
Is it C? Okay,
C-A-V-A.
C-A-V-A. Yes,
seen
yes.
I talked about this before. It's a Chipotle, but for Greek food.
Yeah, it's Mediterranean.
And I would rather have that than any of the others we just talked about.
Yes.
It's so stinking good.
Yes. Have you ever had it, Steve?
No,
Oh,
I've seen
man.
them, but no.
I was
I've
walking
never-
around Boston down by, I want to say it was BU. It's either BU or Northeastern. I can't think of what, but it was one of those streets down there in Boylston Street or whatever. And I don't know the name of the street, but it was, I walked in there by accident, not knowing what it was. And
Yeah.
I ordered this thing, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I go, this is amazing. I love that. I'm hoping one opens up near here soon. 'Cause
There-
the closest
there is-
one I know is Boston.
No, there is one closer.
In Leominster?
Chelmsford.
Chelmsford.
So you just got to go up 495 to 87,
Yeah.
and it's right off of it's right before you get on Route 3.
Oh,
So you just drive through town off 87 from 495, and then it's right in that little shopping lot.
that's
right
not too
in the
far.
corner. No.
That's not too far. It's only Boston, but that's good. But I love that.
Yeah, so almost every time I go to New Hampshire to visit family, I'll stop there. But it's basically exactly like Chipotle or like Moe's, where you go in, but instead of your tortilla option, like tortilla or bowl, it's pita or bowl.
Yeah.
But you can still get rice, you can still get beans.
So good.
They have tzatziki sauces. They have different types of chicken you can pick, all your different vegetables.
Yeah.
But it's Greek inspired. It's Mediterranean, so there's like black olives. And,
So stinking good.
oh, it's amazing. It's so much better.
Somebody told me a story. I don't know who it was, if it was somebody, but some 12-year-old little girl wrote to them and said, "We need a kava in my town."
Yeah.
And she kept writing them and insisting. And like within 6 months, they decided to open one there.
Really?
And they were building it.
Yeah.
So no, that's very
Now,
good.
when you've gone, did you get the pita chips?
Yes, of course. Those are so good.
They're
Too.
insane.
I've made homemade pita chips, but they're nowhere near as good.
No, these are like a combination of like a tortilla chip, but they're thicker because it's a pita.
Yeah.
Still deep fried, so they get kind of puffy, almost like fried dough would. but then they're just like a savory flavor.
Yeah.
They're ridiculous.
It's almost like what you get when you order it from like Longhorn Steakhouse. You get the, what is it, artichoke dip,
yeah. Yep. They're
spinach dip, artichoke. They give you those
bready
pita
chips.
Yes, those are great.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, I can't really talk about burritos. I don't like burritos that much.
Yeah.
I'm more of a taco, the street tacos or
Traditional. I know you like birria tacos again. Huh?
No, we're not going there. We're not going. I had a bad experience the other day ordering a burrito.
Really?
Yeah, I got into a fight with somebody. It wasn't a fight. It was just things got loud. I went up to the window at Taco Bell. My wife wanted a 5. Well, I wasn't ordering for me. My wife wanted a 5-layer burrito. So I went up to the window. I was like, can I get a 5-layer burrito? And I can't hear anything. I got bad hearing. So I hear, hey, we have no beans. So I'm like, excuse me? We have no beans. So I'm like, I can't hear you. So I drove through and went up to the window. And she said, we have no beans. So I said, forget it. Yeah. And I just drove away. And my wife said, you're so mean. I wasn't being mean. I just drove away. So that's my story.
Yeah. Beans have grown on me. I used to not like them very much, but I've recently have been kind of into the rice and beans burrito stuff.
Well, that's the thing. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the service meeting in Dallas. I know you didn't go.
Yeah.
But they decided for lunch, the one day they had the barbecue for lunch and they had beans. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, we got 60 men in a room. After lunch, what could go wrong?
Yeah. Were these like baked beans?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever had those.
Yeah. Love them.
But I would never go to a Taco Bell if my life depended on it. But speaking of burritos, the other morning my wife was she was stirring up in the frying pan some hot Italian sausage. Next thing I know, she's mixing scrambled eggs.
Ooh, hot Italian sausage.
Hot Italian
breakfast.
sausage. Yeah. Hot Italian sausage with scrambled eggs and cheese, and she throws it inside a burrito. She quickly toasted the burrito in the frying pan and then rolled it up in there. And I said, no, I don't want one. And then she put it in front of me, and I said, well, okay, I'll just wrap it up, and brought it to work. Yeah. And I got here and started eating. I go, holy cow, this is so stinking good.
Yeah. This sounds good.
Because I mentioned before that my kids, not crazy about eggs, but you put meat in it that changes everything. But they don't like traditional breakfast, like bacon and eggs and pancakes and waffles. That's not their thing. They'll have a burger or a steak or a burrito for breakfast. That's what they want. They want lunch and dinner for breakfast. I'm okay with that. Doesn't matter what you eat, just eat.
Yeah.
All right. So, welcome everybody to the Metis Tech Show. I'm Paul Schaubs. Steve Pimentel is here.
It's been a while.
It has.
It has. A week.
I thought he was retired. Came out.
Oh, no, you weren't here last week. Who was here?
We had Juan on.
Juan.
Yeah.
Juan sat next to me.
Yep.
Okay. And Bryn Raptor's here.
Yes.
And so last week we had some fan mail. Mm-hmm. And Brian from upstate New York kind of posed a question about auxiliary heat. Yep. And I don't have the original question with me. Go back and listen to last week's, if you're interested. But I don't have the original question, but the way he asked it, he didn't give us enough information.
Yeah, it was coil heat backup, and we were trying to decipher what exactly the scenario was because we weren't sure what indoor unit he was talking about. We weren't sure what coil, whether it was an electric like heat strip or was it a hydronic coil. We were trying to suss some of that out. So. Yeah. He sent an email.
Yeah, he replied back. Yeah, he replied back on a follow-up, and it's an epistle.
Yeah, it's long.
This is what Paul sent to the Romans. Okay, it's shorter than that. I mean, Paul sent a shorter letter than that, actually. So I don't want to read the whole thing because we'd be here for the whole show to read the whole thing. And I did glance at it, but you read it. You want to sum it up for us?
Yeah, basically, the question was specifically pertaining to a air handler. So he does a lot of air handlers up there with the electric heat backup. And the question is really specific on, with a standard heat pump, as an example, let's say you have your heat pump goes out, right? And you're using standard heat pump and an air handler. You have the ability through your thermostat to go from heat pump and change your mode to emergency. And so that immediately kicks on your electric heat backup. And so the question was, how do we get something similar or the same thing with the Mitsubishi SVZ air handler and a coil backup? So that prompted us to say, let's just do a whole episode on just what all of our backup heat options are, because there are a couple and each one is slightly different, and try to figure out maybe an option for somebody who's in a similar situation where if that air handler were to completely go kaput, is there any option where we can immediately energize something else, either through a thermostat, some sort of simple means? And so I figured we'll just talk about the basic logic of our backup heat and then what we could do to try to solve that problem.
I'm going to pay attention to this one because I have a PVA with the electric heat in my house, and the breaker for the electric heat has been off all winter. It's been off since a year.
Yep.
So I had this installed last May, and it's been off. It's still off. So I had no electric heat all winter, and we had some really cold days below zero, a few of them, and it didn't miss a beat. And I'm repeating myself, of course, which is what I do. But my concern was going to be during defrost, that I thought I would lose some heat during defrost, but it was never noticeable.
Yeah, well, that's good.
I couldn't tell you one single defrost cycle it went through because it was never noticeable, and it's not like I'm sitting outside watching the thing anyway. So,
Right.
So I'm going to pay attention to this one. So where are we going to start?
I just figured we could start with the two main CN24 operation logic.
Okay. Oh, one more thing. Brian's up in Ithaca, New York.
Yes,
So upstate New York, so it's a pretty
it can get cold.
cold climate up there in the
can get
winter
cold,
time.
right.
It can definitely get below 30.
Yeah, and this is where I think that question becomes relevant. Is you can try to build in redundancy, but what do you do if you need the heat now? So essentially, there's two different types of CN24 operation. Some of it is dependent on the unit, the indoor unit, right? Most of our ductless are just on the old CN24 operation. Now, Steve, you had mentioned that size did play a role.
It is so random, and it threw me for a loop because you would think, okay, over the years, we had our old CN24 operation, very easy logic. Temperature drops 4 degrees from set point, backup heat comes on.
Right.
So simple. And that 4 degrees varies by model. It could be 3 degrees, could be 2 degrees, just depends on the model. Then they came out with new CN24 operation. So you would figure a new generation system like the A7 models would utilize all new CN24 operation. And just when you think that, you're wrong.
That's what you get for thinking.
When I started testing some of this, and I'll keep an LED light attached to a CN24 plug, and I can test things quickly. So I tested a P Series A7 12,000 BTU unit, same model system, was a cassette connected to a P Series outdoor unit, and that utilized old CN24 operation. I tested the same system, same model, cassette A7, but it was a 24,000 BTU. And guess what? It's got new CN24 operation.
Right.
So I could see that being different if it was two different generations. No, it's the same generation, but the capacity was the differentiator. Now, I think the difference is because if you look at a 12,000 BTU P Series outdoor unit, there are no dip switches on the outdoor board.
Right.
It's almost like looking at an M Series. So the logic is like just baked in, and you can't change anything. But a 24,000 BTU P Series unit, now you have dip switches. The board is more intelligent. There's more things happening.
Right.
So I think that's the difference on whether or not old CN24 logic plays a role or the new CN24 logic is in there.
Good point.
Yep. So briefly, old CN24, which is still available. When we say old, it just means original, not necessarily previous.
Right.
Just means the original CN24 logic is essentially that if you have it operational, you are utilizing it, the CN24 output, which is just a 12-volt DC output, will only come on if you are more than 4.5 degrees from set point in heating mode. Right. So if you're below that 4.5 degrees from set point in the room, CN24 puts out the 12 volts. So what you need is that CN24 relay kit that takes in that 12 volts and will close the other side, and that would be what's going to your auxiliary heat option. And it's going to run constant until you get to set point.
Right. And it was great for contractors because they could test it right on the spot.
Yep.
There was no timer. There was no, hey, let's see if the heat pump can keep up with the space. And you may never see backup heat come on.
Right.
But that was like you could go to an MA controller and drop the temperature 4 degrees and bang,
Right.
CN24's got 12 volts on it. So it was great for contractors to test. New CN24 logic came out. Contractors are coming to my class like, hey, man,
How am
is there a way I
testing
can test this thing? I need to make sure backup heat works and it's never coming on. Why? Because the heat pump's keeping up, right?
Yep.
So
Let me ask you, is it possible with any of our units to set for lack of a better term, an outdoor reset? So I don't want the electric heat to come on ever, regardless of the difference set point to room temperature, as long as the outdoor temperature is above 38, 35, whatever you decide. Is there a way to do that?
IntelliHeat.
Yes, there's units that do it. And then there's something similar with the Kumo station, which I was going to bring up in a little bit.
Right.
There are some things you can do with Kumo station that are similar.
We'll
But
talk
it
about that
doesn't-
when we get
yeah, the difference would be it doesn't delay the CN24 behavior. It becomes like a more of a balance point where that is really the cutoff for the unit, as opposed to a only care about CN24, only operate CN24 below a temp.
All right, and you mentioned that it depends on the unit, and I think last week you mentioned some app notes too.
Yes.
So I don't know which one of you guys printed these out, but we have three or four different application notes that are on. Where can I get these?
These are all on MitsubishiPro.com.
Yeah.
You got to click on the resources tab now on the top right, and then you'll see application notes. But that's also where you get the software, which sidebar, we are on maintenance tool version 5.6 now. So next time you open up your maintenance tool, look at what version you have. It's going to be updating quite a bit over the next couple of months, I imagine, just because we have a lot of new equipment coming out. So be sure that you have the updated version. We are on 5.6. If you don't have it, go on Mitsubishi Pro, go to the software tab in resources, and download it.
All right. So the app notes that I have here are app note 3056, enabling backup heat on ductless M series. I got app note 1030, M&P multi-position air handler unit, electric heater configuration, electric heat kit information, and ETC setup. Application note 1024, supplemental heat control. And application 2029, PVFY, electric heat configuration, and electric heat information. So which one do we want to start off with?
Well,
I think
before
we should start with finishing up what the new CN24
Yes.
I
is.
thought we did that.
We did old CN24. We haven't described the new
Right.
CN24.
So I gotta
And I think it's
I gotta pay
important.
attention to this because what's going on here.
And in reality, all of those app notes, there's tons of crossover information. So we don't have to cover all four of them because this is just all of the app notes that pertain to auxiliary heat. A lot of it is the same information.
Is there going to be a test at the end of this?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
Because
So-
I can go back to sleep.
New CN24, while we're on the topic, new CN24 is essentially a timer. Like Steve was mentioning earlier, there is a timer that you can set with an MA controller as a request code. And what it does is if you are more than 2.7 degrees below set point, a timer begins. And if that elapsed amount of time goes by, it will turn on the emergency heat or the electric heat or that auxiliary heat. It'll energize CN24. And it'll run that auxiliary heat up until you get to about a degree below set point, and then it shuts off. And then another timer starts. Right? Once we get back down to that below 2.7 degrees again, timer starts over, and it's going to do the same thing. It's going to have that same behavior. Now, if we get to that 2.7 and we continue to drop over that period of time, we can now energize the second stage of a CN24. So with the air handlers, they do stage your electric heat as 1, then 2. And that second only comes on if even the first stage isn't bringing us up to that 1 degree from set point. So timers become involved.
but here's the
new
thing.
emergency heat.
Keep in mind that none of that electric heat or no CN24 will be energized if the heat pump is keeping up.
Right.
So within that time, that timer, which is defaulted sometimes at 10 minutes, 14 minutes, depending on the model,
Yep.
if the heat pump is keeping up with the space, none of that happens.
There's no
and
reason to.
everything just continues. And here's the other thing. I don't like to call our backup heat emergency heat.
No.
Because it's not emergency heat. It's supplemental heat. So you have to keep that in mind. You cannot change staging of that heat as well. You can't make the heat pump stage 2. The heat pump is technically stage 1 all the time, and that drives people crazy. And that kind of goes along with a fan mail question, right? We cannot bypass this logic.
Yes.
We could. You can do anything. You
Yes.
can add relays. You can add sequencers and do a lot of different things to bring on the backup heat and create that first stage of backup heat, second stage heat pump.
Yes.
But at that point, that's when Kumo Station is going to give you more options,
Right.
that economic balance point, all of that.
So the reason it drives people crazy is because they're used to the old, not so nice or not very efficient heat pumps that you needed the electric heat to come on anytime the temperature outside got 30 or below or whatever. So this is an advancement in technology. We don't need that.
Yes.
Right? So this thing, like I told you, my electric heat's been off all winter long. I don't remember the coldest it got, but there were some very cold below zero nights out there, and my heat pump didn't miss a beat. I was so happy
Yeah.
with it. So it's different. It's an advancement in the technology. So,
Yeah. The thing is that it's not necessarily that only. It is if you do a lot of traditional standard unitary heat pumps, you always have through your thermostat the ability to switch to your
Right.
backup heat.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what's going on with the heat pump. It doesn't matter if it's keeping up or if it's not keeping up. It doesn't matter if there's a
Yep.
certain temperature. You just always have in your back pocket the option to do that changeover. Now we don't have that.
Right.
We just don't. There are things you can do to try to get tricky, and we're going to talk about them to try to get close to that effect. But you don't have the means with a Mitsubishi unit to say, I don't want to run it right now, and I want to run this instead arbitrarily. There has to be some sort of condition that's met before we switch to that auxiliary heat. The only way to do something like that would be through some sort of third-party control. So we'll talk about those in a little bit. When it comes to doing the air handler, if you're doing something ducted, like our P or our S series indoor units, the things that you have to pay attention to with the CN24 is out of the box, that unit does not do auxiliary heat. It's not configured to just put out that voltage. Ductless units, a wall mount, floor mount, as long as it's paired with the right outdoor unit, it has that CN24 built in. It's going to do it no matter what. But something like an air handler, it doesn't just come automatically ready to go for emergency heat. You have to turn on some function settings. Namely, you have to turn on function 11 that says my heater is present.
Yep.
And then you also have to use 23, which determines some of the logic around when that heater comes on. Are you just using the CN24 logic, or do you also want it to come on in defrost and air?
Yeah.
And so that's the other thing that you have to double check for.
And those are going to be specific errors. Not every error code is going to bring that in.
And so that was one of the things that was brought up in the email was, it says not all errors. And you're right, not all errors. And I think where, the listener's going to have a problem is he wants to be able to switch to emergency heat when a control board fails, even at the outdoor unit. And unfortunately, it's probably not going to happen.
No.
It's just not, unfortunately. Because the thing is that it's a little bit different with a unitary system. If the outdoor unit has a bad control board, we can still run the fan at the indoor unit. The problem is if we don't have a communicating system, it's not going to want to run the fan. It's not going to want to put out the outputs on the board. So,
And that's key. When you say it's not going to happen, it means that we're not going to get 12 volts on CN24.
right,
So can you energize it a different way?
100%.
We're not showing you how, but there are ways,
Yes.
right?
Yep. But the problem with your setup there is that we're reliant on the Mitsubishi fan to deliver the air over the heat
Right.
strip. And so if we have issues with the Mitsubishi portion of the system, it really doesn't like to run the fan if it's not communicating. So if you have a bad outdoor control board and now the indoor unit and outdoor unit aren't talking, it doesn't really have the desire to run the fan. Because think about it. If the system doesn't know that the fan is running, right, as a whole, communicating system doesn't know the fan is running, what happens if it's not, but it still sends out the voltage on CN24? Now
The electric heat is running with no air across them.
Right. And so that is a lot of it is related to the safety aspect where you just got to be careful with that stuff. And, we're going to talk about the two other things that I can think to try to help the scenario. But those are the considerations you have to make. Is you can do these other things. Just be aware that if you're reliant on the Mitsubishi fan, you're still going to have issues if that unit goes into air. So, that's where you have to be careful.
Yeah. And that logic plays into a lot of rebates. Mm-hmm. When you think about Mass Save, right? And you think about our, here in Massachusetts, the customer is going to get these rebates because they're going to run the heat pump they're looking at first stage.
Right.
You're getting that rebate because the heat pump is taking care of most of that load, not another fuel source, like a boiler, backup boiler doing a hydronic coil possibly, which can be done as backup heat. We're looking, again, heat pump first stage.
I think New York's the same thing with the rebates. I think Brian mentioned that in his email. He wants to do this because it affects the rebates his customer's going to get.
Yeah. So moving on from the CN24 as it is, I think we kind of understand what the deals are. We know how CN24 works. We have eliminated the fact that CN24 alone will not give you the instant change over to the emergency heat option. Some other things that we have as components would be something like the Kumo station or the comfort station. What the comfort station allows you to do is create a balance point, right? Where you say, okay, at 30 degrees outdoor temperature, stop running my indoor unit, my heat pump, and start running some other form of heat, right? We give you 4 dry contacts that you can utilize. So those dry contacts could be for zone valves. It could be for energizing an electric strip, resistance baseboard, any of those things. Those 4 dry contacts are those outputs. So now at outside temperature X, stop running the heat pump, start running this auxiliary heat. So that was kind of like what you were talking about with the demand response, except that it doesn't delay the behavior of CN24. It's just a straight balance point. The benefit to that is, let's say you did have a situation where you were above that outside temperature, but your unit went into error for some reason or another. If you're still communicating with the Comfort app, it'll show the error. You can still put the dry contact into manual and operate it. But again, if it's reliant on the fan, you have to be really careful before you do anything like that. So you're, forced switching into the emergency heat or backup heat or auxiliary heat would be to go into the basement or wherever that Kumo station is mounted and put it into the manual mode.
Right. Yeah. It's not a big deal. If you're using some type of hot water coil as your auxiliary heat and the fan doesn't come on, okay, it's not going to do anything.
Right. It'll bounce off highway.
Right. But with the electric heat, it's going to burn those heaters that fan has to come on.
Yes. That's best case scenario. Is that the heaters burn out.
Yeah.
Worst case is fire. So
yeah,
it's things you have to be aware of.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I was going to bring up was the PAC 445.
Oh, yes.
So your third-party thermostat interface, you could, in theory, use the W2 signal from your thermostat, and rather than landing it on the PAC 445, right, you can run your second stage wiring would go to an auxiliary heat source.
Yeah, that'll work.
So then now through your thermostat, you can program in your droop point, right, or you can set up the staging through a standard, Honeywell thermostat as an example. You can choose when it kicks in W2. Right. So then that would be a way to advance your call to that second stage. Again, though, if it's on an air handler and you're using an electric heat and you're using W2,
right,
the thermostat doesn't know that we're in error. So if the fan shuts down, you don't have airflow. So it's really with those air handlers, you kind of have to work with what CN24 gives you. Now, it does give you, SVZs give you both. You have CN24 1 and 2.
Right.
Yep. And you can actually choose which logic you want to use. So those would be your 2 options. That's why, Steve, when you had mentioned you can't do your backup as stage 1 and heat pump as stage 2, I started to talk about it a little bit in the last episode, but I didn't finish my thought, which is same theory with the PAC 445 or 446 is what we're on now. If you take W1 from your thermostat and run it to W2 on the PAC, W2 from the thermostat to W1, what happens is W1 calls and it tells the PAC 446 energize W2 as your first stage.
Right.
And that was something John Sheeler gave me a little tip on once because somebody had asked about it, and I was like, "Is there any way we can do that?" And he's like, "Technically, with the PAC 446, you can trick it."
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because the PAC 446 is the exception.
Yeah.
You're completely changing Mitsubishi logic.
Yes.
And not completely changing the logic, but commands work a little differently.
Yeah.
The PAC 446 is the boss of everything.
Right.
And yeah.
Yeah, and it does basically like a check every couple minutes to determine what's going on, and if it's looks at the set point and how far from set point you are every 5 minutes, and then it will determine how to ramp up and down the compressor. So it does change the logic because we're changing from a communicating system where we're constantly talking to those thermistors
Yes.
to just a 24-volt relay saying on off.
Yeah.
And that makes it a lot harder to control the system. But there are some workarounds related to it when you use it.
All right. What's next?
That's honestly the only other thing I wanted to talk about was on the CN24 relay kit itself. Even those take some configuration because of the jumper that is included with the CN24 relay kits. Using or not using that jumper can determine whether or not your fan runs during defrost and air or not. And it also depends on the unit whether that jumper is going on CN4Y or it's going on CN22. So lots to deal with there, but you just have to be aware that when you use the jumper, all right, it's going to affect the way that fan comes on and off during defrost and air. If you pull the jumper and you set dip switches on the indoor, like for a commercial unit, for example, 3-4 has to go on to say run the fan when we're in defrost and air and the jumper's been removed. And then you need to use SW1, 7, and 8 to set what that fan speed will be. So even if you are using that and you're using the CN24 relay kit, you also have to look into that and make sure that you have your jumper in the right position, because we'll either run the auxiliary heat or not and run the fan or not based on that jumper position. So lots to deal with that relay kit.
It's all in the service manual.
It is.
It's
right
right
out.
there.
Right, but you have to be aware.
I had to do this last June by the time I set it up. And I could be remembering it, but I want to say I did it through the Comfort app. At least some of the setting up of the CN24 logic. But I know I did something on the part. What do I have? A par, what's it, a 43?
Yep.
I know I did some of it.
I think it's a 42. But
42? Yeah, I know I did some of it through there. But I could swear I did some of it through the Comfort app. I went and looked, and I had the function settings there
Yeah.
that I needed.
Because you have a P series.
Yes.
Yep.
PPA.
Yep.
Yeah, so with your par 42, you can set your delay, your time delay.
Yes.
Or you could set to actually turn it on, make it active through the function 11 and 23. But if you have Kumo, or Comfort, sorry, I keep saying Kumo.
Yeah.
I haven't adapted yet. If you have Comfort, then you can still turn on function settings through the app.
Right.
So there is some configuration that can be done through the app too.
But as far as I recall, it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But I did have the manual. I did have the FM with me.
Yes. Fantastic manual.
Yes.
So I think at the end of the day, with this particular listener who had asked about what to do, we don't have an exact solution for what was requested.
Right.
He's looking for a situation where they can immediately switch to that auxiliary heat source, which in this case is our electric heat kit. He wants to be able to switch to that anytime there's any air, right, or on demand. And again, we just don't have that logic built into the system.
We don't.
It's going to be third-party controlled.
But on the good news is Bryan, again, I don't give out the names, the full names, unless they tell us we can, and he didn't. But he did say he listens to our show religiously, and he's heard every episode. So he's the one.
He's the one.
He's the one listener.
Yes.
Who listens to every show.
Yes.
But we, Bryan, we thank you for listening. We thank you for sending us an email. Keep it coming. We hope we helped. That's all I can say is I hope that we help, but we don't have the exact answer that you're looking for. But hopefully after listening to this, you have a better understanding on your options.
Yeah.
And there's the app notes you can go look at on MPro, right? And the manual, of course.
Yes.
Right. Anything else that can help Bryan or anybody else out?
Personally, if the backup heat is something that needs to be used, the SVZ makes it tough because of the airflow. But if you can ever get your auxiliary heat off of the fan, you'll have more of that control that he's looking for.
So if you had baseboard and you just wanted to use that instead,
Yeah.
you have to have a lot more. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not freedom options. You have a few more options with that.
Yeah.
Where even if the fan something were to happen, I think you'd be okay.
Yeah. Now, he did mention redundancy. So if we're going to be ridiculous with our suggestions, one of the things I would mention is put a separate air handler in there that's electric heat as your redundancy. You can still call in your second stage with it. Because the reality is, if you don't have a fan, you don't have heat anyway. So
Right.
if you need the fan, a separate air handler with your backup, with your electric heat. But again, that's just over-the-top redundant.
But the same
redundancy
is true with a gas furnace, an oil furnace,
Right.
or a unitary heat pump. There's no fan, there's no heat no matter what you do.
Yes, except that the system will still run and energize that heat,
Right. Exactly.
which is the downside to
Yes.
those configurations.
Yeah.
So,
Anything else, Steve?
Yeah, I'm just going to mention that, a few years ago we released economic balance point on wall units like the FS. That was huge.
Yeah.
Right, because now you can take the handheld remote and set an economic balance point. You'd be surprised how many people don't know we can do that. And we added a CN24 to an FS, which FH, whatever.
Right.
And that, that kind of threw everybody for a loop. They're like, really, I can bring on, what kind of heat can I bring on with this? Well, think about a wall unit. You have an FS hanging on in your bedroom, and you have a zone of baseboard heat
Right.
in that bedroom. You can, interlock that hot water zone to that wall unit and just switch right over when you get to that economic balance point. So,
Yeah.
so look out for that. It's easy to set on the remote. And
Yeah.
instructions are in the service manual.
Yeah. And also, just in general, because Robert Serafin was the one who actually showed me some of this, is there are some things, especially, it's with the Smart Multi, but there are some things that they can do for that integration stuff on the service side. There's some formulas that they can put into the logic through maintenance tool on the Smart Multis that can create different balance points and kind of change the logic of changeover and stuff like that. But your service team has to be involved because there's formulas that come from factory, and it's
Right.
there's steps involved. It's not something a contractor would
It
necessarily
wouldn't be
do.
standard.
No, but
It'd be a
with,
one-off.
with those who are trying to do take advantage of rebate stuff. I mean, Robert's doing it all the time out in the Midwest for the same reason.
Yeah.
Is he's going on a lot of job sites as a service manager to help these people get that stuff set up. So that would be the other option too, is get in touch with your distributor, your DSG, and they can get in touch with the service team on our end and see if we can help with some other options if they're needed.
All right. Anything else?
No.
All right. Before we go, I just want to give a plug to this book. So, in the last few months, I think 5 or 6 months, we've hired at least 3 new instructors. Right? We had Rob, who was in Atlanta, and he's been on. He actually had
With Eddie, it's going to be 4.
but we had William
on.
in Orlando, who's been on this show. We got Marcus in Chicago, who is yet to be on this show. And this week, we brought on another new instructor for here in Southborough to replace you, Bryn, because you're on the design team now. Eddie started with us Monday.
Yep.
But Marcus out in Chicago, and for those of you on the YouTube, I'm holding up this book, and it's a children's book, HVAC related, and he's writing a couple. He's going to write electrical and carpentry, and I think automotive that he said. But this is called Cool Carl and the HVAC Heroes. And I bought 2 of these myself, and I gave them to people with little kids. Like, this is like the bedtime story. The kids can't read themselves. You read it to them. And one of them was, I keep calling her the little girl down the street, but it's Amber. Oh, excuse me, burrito. Amber is my son's age, and she's in the HVAC field. She graduated from a vocational high school.
Yeah.
She's working for a contractor. She's got zero college debt, and she's making really good money. And she has a little nephew, Grayson, who she's been reading this to me. She thought this was awesome. It was great. But you can get them on Amazon. Just search for Cool Carl and the HVAC Heroes. If you got little ones, if you know people with little ones, it's the only way, not the only way, but one of the ways it's going to help us fix the shortage, the workforce shortage for all the trades, is to start introducing the trades to kids when they're little. And this was I read this as it was a really good book. I like the idea, so kudos to Marcus, but feel free to buy one.
Who's your favorite character? Well, I like Dusty the Filter myself.
Yeah, Dusty the Filter was good. Let's see, who do we got here? Let's see. Oh, and there's some activities and stuff in here for the kids.
There's an assessment and a certificate at the end.
Really?
Cool Carl. He spreads the air through the house. No, he doesn't. No, he's Cool Carl. There's Heidi Heidi, Dusty the Filter, Vinny Vent. I think Vinny Vent is my favorite. Tina Thermostat.
No.
I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, again, if you're on the YouTube, look at this. Look at Amazon. I want to say what this was it wasn't that expensive. I want to say 10, 12
It was like
bucks.
$12. Yeah, I got the Kindle version as well.
Yeah,
Really?
the
Yeah.
Kindle version.
Yeah.
But this is so cool.
You can get the audiobook version. It's about 3 minutes long.
Narrated by David Attenborough.
Yeah. Yeah. But,
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. You went on a business trip with Marcus.
Yes.
Any like what kind of food does the guy like? Did he say? Or did you
He was so excited to do. Of course, we left the airport straight to ramen. We went to Omaido's to get ramen, and it was his first experience. And he was trying to hold those chopsticks together to save his life. But he gave it his all. And
What level did he get?
Level 2. And
That's
it was a hot level 2 that day. And
Angry chef.
yeah, but no, he did a great job with that, and he'll eat anything. I don't know what his favorite foods are exactly, but no, he's. I'm excited for Marcus. He's just an awesome addition to the team.
Yeah.
Paul, there's a dog in front of us.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. What's tell us about the dog?
So this is Coco. So I think I mentioned before that my dog Penny was sick. She was a mixed breed. She was a sweet dog. She ended up, not to bring everybody down, but she ended up getting cancer, and we put her down last month. It was awful. And my wife and I realized that we can't live in a house without a dog. So 2 days ago, I was at the shelter, and we found little Coco here. She's 11 weeks old yesterday. And I was in line an hour before the shelter opened because they put on their Facebook page, dogs available, whatever date it was. And I said, I'm getting there early. So I was there an hour before. I was the second car in line. And by the time the gates opened, there was at least 6, 7, or 8 cars behind me. And I said, yeah. And they named her Jazz. I said, I'm here for Jazz. And they said, okay. Is the car in front of me here for Jazz? They go, no. I said, good. So we went in. She was with her litter mates, who they say it's a hound mix, but they look a lot like beagles, the other ones. And Coco here is just all like one color, a little bit of white. But my son said she looks like a Cocoa Puff, so that's her name. My rule for my pets is they have to have human names. Right? And I said, well, there's Coco Chanel, there's Coco Taylor, the blues singer. So I said, okay, I can live with Coco.
Yeah.
But yeah, I brought her in today because I didn't want to leave her home alone on her third day in the house. She's doing pretty well. She does great at night in the crate. I didn't want to leave her in my office in case she woke up. So during the recording of this, if she got up, I would have got up and bred her outside because she did have a little accident right in front of my desk. I put a pad down for her, and of course, 6 inches from the pad is where she decided.
Just missed.
Yeah, just missed. Yeah, but she's here sound asleep.
Yeah.
It's what she seems to do. Poop and sleep.
Yeah.
No, that's what I like to do.
That's the life
It's fantastic.
right there.
Yeah.
So before we wrap this up, we had mentioned last episode about a issue we had in our training center.
Yes.
And we're still not disclosing what happened. We figured it out. But
Yes.
we want to give the listeners a chance to get their responses in.
And we've got a couple of responses. Like
do.
Nick guessed 17 different things, and one of them is bound to be right.
Yeah.
We're not going to say anything. We're not going to give away whether Nick is right or wrong on anything.
Nope.
And we had one other. I think Brian here also
Yes.
guessed.
Yeah,
We're
he
not
put
going to
his
say
hat
if
in the
he's
ring.
right or wrong. We're not going to say what his guess was.
Yes.
But let's just make sure that people understand the scenario. Let's give them the whole scenario so they can keep guessing.
Yes. And the reason why I want to do this is because not everybody listens to every episode. So because
Shame on you.
this was a technical episode outside of the fan mail, sometimes people really only tune into the technical one. So giving an opportunity for those folks who didn't hear it the first time. In our training center, we had the A2L Smart Multi. And we put it in end of 24, beginning of 25. So it has been running, and we've been teaching classes on it successfully for the last year and change. In March of this year, we had a lot of updates to our equipment, and one of the updates was to the Smart Multi. We added an indoor unit to it. And during class this week, we tried to run it, and it ran for a few minutes and then gave a 1302 error code. Now, during the time it was operating, it sounded different. I wouldn't say necessarily like broken, but it definitely sounded different than it normally does.
Have you ever heard shoes in the dryer? Tumbling in the dryer.
Yeah.
It reminded me of that. So if you take shoes and throw them in the dryer, that's what it reminded me of.
Yes, yeah. So the noise was a little bit off. It only ran for, well, it was like 10 or 15 minutes that we ran it for, but it had thrown the error for the 1302. Hooking up maintenance tool while it wasn't operating. We just looked over some things. Even while it was operating, one of the weird things that I happened to notice was that the discharge temperature was only like 100 degrees, which I thought was a little off. But while the system was not operating and was just sitting stagnant, I had maintenance tool hooked up. And what I found was the head pressure was 405 PSI, and the suction pressure was like 354 PSI. And the room temperature where the outdoor unit sits is like 72 degrees. So, that's a huge indicator to me. Something was off, especially coupled with the noise not being quite right. So for those who are listening for the first time, what we want is respond to us via email through the Buzzsprout. Let us know what you think might be going on. We have a 1302 error code, 405 PSI on our high side, 350 on our low side, not during operation. And we had some noise, odd noise, like shoes in a dryer during operation. And this came after an indoor unit was added to the new A2L Smart Multi
Right.
system.
It had been working fine before that, flawlessly. So, Nick, pick one answer
Stick with it.
and stick with it and resubmit it. We are throwing out your previous email with the 17 different guesses. So pick one. And Brian, if you want to try another guess, I'm not going to say whether yours is right or wrong.
Yep.
But if you're happy with it, stick with it. But here's your opportunity to diagnose it again.
Yes.
Right? And it's tough to diagnose something without, at least for me it is, it's tough to diagnose something without putting my hands and eyes and ears on it.
Yep.
But we should have some idea.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what we get. Hopefully we get a bunch of people. Just give us a 1 or 2 or 3 word thing. Hit the text on your phone,
Yeah.
or go to the email. Email us at metistechshow@hvac.mea.com. But I'm curious to see what we all think.
Yeah.
And we won't even say if our guesses were right or wrong.
No.
No. And by the way, I want to go back to this because Nick made a what do you call that? An offhanded comment or whatever, like a dig.
Mm-hmm.
He said there was no reason to call a contractor in here. Well, listen, we don't touch tools.
No, not anymore.
No, we hired a contractor to do the work for us because we don't have the bandwidth to do it. It's not that we don't have the knowledge. We don't have the bandwidth, and quite frankly, we don't have the tools, recovery machines, and things like that. So we called the contractor who did it back in and asked him what he thought and asked him to fix it. Did you tell him what you thought it was? Did you give him a hint?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not only did I tell him, but he confirmed almost right away. I was going to say something. I'll think of it.
Yeah.
You can finish your thought.
No, that was it. I just wanted to say that it's not. We didn't need to call a contractor. We had the ability and the knowledge to do it. We didn't have the tools or the time.
Yeah. Okay, I remembered what it was. When we reveal what it was, because of the situation, I think it warrants an entire episode.
I agree.
To avoid anybody else ever having to deal with this in the field, assuming that they listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
Because there's a likelihood or a possibility for it to happen to somebody else. So I think it makes sense to really dig into not only how I knew right away, how we confirmed, and then how to avoid it in the future. So,
All right. Okay, that it?
yeah. Kava and Chelmsford.
Kava and Chelmsford.
Yeah.
That's only like about,
It's
I'm
like a
going to
half hour
say,
from here.
it's like 15 to 20 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
It's right next to
Really?
my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think it's that close, huh?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah, for me, it's like, because I'm a little bit further west than you, it takes me probably like a half hour.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm 3 minutes from 495.
Yeah. Where do you
Maybe
get
five.
on, like 67?
I can get on the 67 or the next one, 117. I don't remember the exit
Come down
numbers.
117?
I can go.
Yeah.
I can take the back roads to 117, or I can take the back roads to 62.
Gotcha.
And it depends. And it's about the same.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't listen to the GPS all the time.
Yeah. I always come down 117.
By the way, you just reminded me of a story. We lost the story music. It's too bad. But my son's got a friend
Yeah.
who works with this guy who's a flat earther. He believes the Earth is flat.
Yeah.
So he goes into work the other day and he says, "Yeah, my GPS was all messed up." And the kid asks him, "What's the G stand for?" He goes, "Shut up."
So this is somebody that lives in this area
Yes.
in Massachusetts. Because I've always had this belief that people who are flat earthers live in cities.
No.
Because you can't look up and see stars. Because I feel like anybody who can look up and see the stars, there's no way you can believe that the Earth is flat. Because how would you explain the stars moving throughout the year?
Yeah.
Every year you got to look for the Big Dipper and it moves
Yeah.
throughout the year. So what's going on? What is your explanation
This
for
is
that?
a kid probably in his 20s who at least he claims that he believes the Earth is flat. Unfortunately, this kid's allowed to vote. There should really be a test for voting, and his vote should not count. Coco's vote should count more than his.
If he wants to think the Earth is flat, it's fine. Let him be a dreamer.
Okay, the other problem with today's society, people think what they say is more important than the truth, what they believe. It's my truth. It's not.
right.
It's no such thing. There's the truth or there's not truth.
Okay, I think it's time to go.
Paul's the adaptive peacemaker, and Steve's the I don't even know what yours is called.
Oh,
Everyone
It's,
loves me.
it's all about love. It's all about love, everybody.
Yeah.
Just love each other and
Flower
peace and
child.
love.
If this
and-
was the 60s, he'd be a flower child.
yeah, that's what it's all about.
You just missed it.
Yeah. I actually, I was born in the 60s, so I did miss it because by the time I was old enough, all the good stuff was over.
Yeah, Spawn Ranch already happened.
Yeah,
Kind of ruined the whole
Woodstock.
thing.
Woodstock happened when I was like a little kid. So,
Yeah,
yeah, not that I would have gone because I hate crowds.
yeah.
I'm an old guy. You know how I know I'm old? Because if I'm in a bar and the music's too loud, turn this crap down.
Oh yeah, I remember that at Miller's. We were
Yeah.
sitting at
I go, turn
Miller's
this
in
music down. I
Orlando.
can't hear
Really?
it.
The music. We sat outside, and the music was cranking. I don't know if you were there for that. I think it was for the sales thing. But
Yeah.
the music was so loud that you couldn't talk to each other.
Yeah. So I pulled out Old Man Paul and said, "Excuse me. Turn it
did
down."
not.
I
He did.
You
They
know.
said no.
God.
They said no.
Yeah.
They're like, we can't. We've got things going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. They wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But
I used to
Anyway.
love to go to concerts when I was a kid, but now it's too loud. That's when you know you're old.
Yeah.
It's too loud, and your socks go above your knees. Not there yet.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you on the
Thanks,
next one.
everybody.
Yeah.
Bye bye.